Now moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, for the keynote address on e-commerce outlook in Asia Pacific, I'd now like to welcome Mr. Mark Gray, Managing Director, Channel Advisor, Australia, Asia Pacific, onto the dais. Mark joined Channel Advisor in August 2005, and he focuses on helping retailers and manufacturers with the software and services needed to successfully sell their products via online sales channel. Mark, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to show that quick video, and I'll go straight away into my presentation. My name is Mark Gray, Managing Director of Channel Advisor Asia Pacific, and wanted to certainly thank Ashish for inviting us here today to certainly present and share how we as a company see the world as far as online commerce, e-commerce globally. So the state of e-commerce in Asia Pacific and the Indian opportunities. Obviously there's a lot of ground to cover here. I didn't want to take too deep of a dive into what's happening here in India because I think a lot of the other speakers are going to take a deep dive into a lot of the metrics. And ironically as well, what I found is the slides that I prepared just only a couple of days ago with data that was less than a month old is now obsolete. It just speaks to the fact of how quickly India, as far as e-commerce, is evolving. So two of the first slides that I'll cover, we're talking certainly about online marketplaces, what we're seeing, what we're tracking as a company with certainly like Flipkart, Snapdeal, and Amazon's recent launch. And when I went to the airport, I found a recent edition of Business Today, which totally outdated the slides that I created. That's how fast this industry is moving, which is quite exciting. So the agenda real quick today, we're going to be covering a real quick introduction to who we are as a company. Certainly not a pitch, but just to paint the picture of where we come from, why we have this data, why we like to talk about global e-commerce. The state of e-commerce in India, very quickly, the state of e-commerce as we see it in all of Asia Pacific, and certainly cross-border trade opportunities and some of the challenges that could arise from that. And if we have time as well, going through a quick case study. So who is Channel Advisor? So Channel Advisor is a software as a service company. We help thousands of retailers and manufacturers globally put as many of their products online in as many online channels as possible. So that's the likes of marketplaces, like we currently support 37 marketplaces globally, so the likes of eBay, Amazon, globally, sites like Rakuten and other sites that we support, such in China as well, and the US. We also help to drive traffic to websites through comparison shopping sites and SEM and paid search. And we have social offerings as well as ways in which to get your data and push it into any online channel as possible. So again, what our dream is, and this is important for every manufacturing retailer as you think about not only expanding domestically here in India to different online channels, but globally as well. One of the main important factors is data, and having your data in first of all, the right format so that all of the partners and sites can accept your feeds on the products that you want to be selling, but also a way in which to disseminate those products as simple as possible. So every marketplace, as we know, is distinctly different from each other. Amazon is very different from eBay. The requirements of what Google requires in their global feeds from you is going to be very different than what MSN or Bing would even require. So what we do is we help the customer, the retailer, manufacturer, again, as long as we can get one quality data feed from you, we're able to, again, push that out to as many online channels as you want globally. So you see up here on the left-hand side, marketplaces, comparison shopping, search, and other. So again, being able to, with cloud-based solutions, being able to take that feed, to automate it, to optimize it, and expand it to as many online channels as possible. Global footprint. So this has been interesting for us to expand as a company as well. This really ties into the cross-border trade and why we feel it's such an important opportunity for you here in the room. And that's looking at, obviously, being able to take advantage of mature markets, so markets like the US, like UK, Australia, and others. And also being able to go into emerging markets such as Latin America. We definitely consider India as an emerging market, and even China still, even due to the size of China. But these are markets that are emerging quite aggressively. So for us, we have the blue dots signify all the places where we have a local presence in the region. But it's really important that we have those relationships locally with the partners as well. So for instance, there's a very fast-growing marketplace in Latin America called Mercado Libre that we support. And for us to be on the ground there and understand the implications of not just logistics and taxes and what type of data feed that a site like Mercado Libre would need, it's important to have people on the ground as well as 24/7 support. So we work with thousands of customers globally and retailers. And Raj was up here before was talking about the importance of understanding the B2B opportunity globally online as well as B2C. And what we're trying to do as well is help manufacturers really understand the opportunity, certainly from a B2B, to be able to shift to a B2C model should it make sense. Or for even the traditional folks that are B2C that are selling on marketplaces, being able to open up opportunities and avoid channel conflicts and get into the B2B market. So state of e-commerce in India, this is what I was referring to as far as being a little out of date. This is only a month and a half old, but this is really talking about the amount of folks and traffic that's actually happening on different marketplaces in India, and then certainly unique visitors as well. So the story is it's great to see Amazon out there with their large booth as well and participating in this event, because it's been really interesting to watch how quickly they've grown just over the last 6-7 months and continue to grow, and certainly now really beginning to compete head-to-head with the likes of Flipkart and Snapdeal and others. So the trends, as far as we see it with the India online marketplace, is something very different that you don't see in a lot of different regions. One of which was touched on before is the different types of payment expectations. What your customers expect here in India is very different, and sometimes can be challenging. I'm sure for folks as they want to deliver, they want to have a surety as a retailer that the product's not going to be returned as often, that you're actually getting the payments. So things like cash on delivery, credit card integrations not being as widely accepted, and things like, for instance, eBay's PaySapPay, which is just really working with eBay mainly, and hasn't really opened up to many website offerings. So extended shipping options is something that we're starting to see change as well. A lot of the partners that I've seen here today are already offering logistical solutions for day-to-day shipments. Again, going along with the cash on delivery, but certainly free delivery services. And the other thing is that we're finding trends as well as discounting continuing to happen. And this has happened from what we've tracked in China quite aggressively as well. So a lot of our customers that we're dealing with in China are now starting, kind of being forced to look outside of their domestic market because they're finding that they're competing head-to-head on price, where their margins are actually being slashed to the point where they're losing money domestically. And a lot of that is just competition. A good example is on places like Tmall, Alibaba, where a lot of these manufacturers have had to find other channels of revenue streams. And so a lot of these customers come to us and say, hey, can we find another international channel where we're not going to get beat up so much on pricing, but we have a quality product. We're happy to go into other markets and have success as well. And then the other thing that we're tracking here is there's a huge advantage here in India of a few large competitors. So there's a huge area of really mid-tier SMB, mid-market retailers and manufacturers who have the single-handed advantage of being very flexible. But it seems like a lot of the retailers here are being very slow to move, certainly in the online space, and make their offerings available in a very consistent way. So there's a first mover's advantage, I think, for a lot of the mid-tier retailers, and that's going to be a huge advantage. That's something that we certainly saw in Australia, which has now just started to change, where the first mover advantages, even a lot of the pure players, now continue to have dominance because they've been doing it now for 3 or 4 years. A lot of the large organizations are really struggling to catch up. So what are some of the cross-border requirements, considerations for you as retailers and manufacturers if you're thinking about cross-border trade, if you're not doing it already? Obviously, one of the main ones is logistics. The good news with this is there's many offerings out there now, hundreds that we're tracking in many regions, but things like development of fulfillment by Amazon. I know that they have a warehouse outside of Mumbai now. They're building one in Bangalore. So domestically, solutions like that are coming into the market and really solving that huge logistics dropshipping issue. But fulfillment by Amazon globally working out quite well in places like China and other countries. And then Google really starting to get into the game now alongside of eBay. So there's a lot of larger partners that we're dealing with that are now trying to get into the logistics and shipping game. Tax implications for retailers. So obviously I'm being able to understand that, hey, if I start selling outside of India, what are the thresholds, what are the GST thresholds for places like selling into the UK? How much can I sell before I start getting hit with the VAT tax, for instance, in the UK, or the GST tax selling into Australia? And account creation in multiple languages. So one thing that, not just currency conversion, being able to accommodate for different certainly payment acceptances in different currencies, but also multiple languages. So being able to ensure that you have a team that can really build out those campaigns of products that you're trying to sell. So for instance, if you're on Amazon or eBay, as an example, being able to have your products in multiple languages. So if you're selling into France and Germany and potentially even China as well, having that localized translations are going to help you succeed. And then the other consideration is payment requirements. So there's a lot of marketplaces that will require you to have localized payment offerings. So if you're selling on Amazon in the US, for instance, having to have a localized bank account in the US is one example. They're starting to kind of relax some of those restrictions, especially if you have Amazon India account or China account. They're making some considerations there, but definitely things to consider. And then also if you're selling on, speaking of marketplaces, for instance, places like eBay, making sure that you have a global PayPal account which can accept all forms of payment. So those are some of the potential challenges or things to consider, but what are some of the benefits that you can take advantage of a retailer or manufacturer selling a product? And one is certainly simplifying payment methods and shipping expectations. I just mentioned PayPal, but things like Alipay in China, which is now gone more global, we can actually have, much like having a global PayPal account, we can accept multiple currencies and payment methods, but then also considerations for credit card payments. Very mature markets like the US, UK, Germany, it's an expectation that they're paying by, oftentimes by credit card. So you don't have to have worries of cash on delivery, things like that. You can have payment immediately, knowing that as long as the item gets to that person within a timely fashion, your return rates and your actual ability to collect money, collectabilities, that risk goes down quite significantly. And then also what we're finding as well for some of our customers here in India and certainly in Asia Pacific that are taking advantage of cross-border trade is the higher average selling prices. So as an example, we're finding customers that are shipping out of China where they were competing domestically, as an example, on Alibaba or even Tmall, they're making around 12 to 15% higher average selling price on their items by selling them to other marketplaces outside of China. So those are some considerations as well. Other marketplaces aren't as adverse to beating you down on the cost necessarily. They're more interested in the product you're selling, and in particular, how quickly can I get that product, and is it going to arrive to me in the fashion and the way in which I expected it. And then manufacturers compete. We're seeing a lot of manufacturers being able to beat a lot of channel conflicts by taking advantage of cross-border trade as well. So within certainly China as an example, we're seeing it in Korea and Japan as well. And I would imagine the same thing here in India, is that there's a lot of manufacturers who have local and regional distribution agreements where it's restricting them from really having a good B2B or B2C online presence. So again, by considering cross-border trade, this really opens up avoidance for having a lot of channel conflict globally. And then being able to take advantage, as I mentioned before, of mature markets as well. So again, consumers that are extremely comfortable with buying online, and if they have a good customer experience or a good feeling that you're a vetted seller, they have no problem buying from you just because you're in India or just because you're somewhere else in Asia Pacific. So from that, I'd like to jump into the state of e-commerce within Asia Pacific, how we're tracking it. So there's kind of four major trends that we're seeing. One of which I already kind of talked about, which is manufacturing and distribution models kind of shifting up, certainly we've seen it over the last 18 months, and we'll continue to see that in the future. And that is really the growth of e-commerce creating less channel conflict, as I talked about. So a lot of the wholesale distribution models are finding less and less conflict by being able to come on and have a mono-branded store and engagement with retail websites directly. Connected devices. So this is things like having Google Glass, as well as wearable computing devices. As spoke about earlier, the amount of screens, the ability for consumers to consume at any given time across multiple ways, whether it's at home, whether it's on the train, in the cab, or even at work, being able to consume your products. So really one of the main things that we see is the need and the push for retailers like yourself to put your products in as many places as possible so that as many buyers can buy your products as possible as well. Don't just restrict yourself to one online channel. Make your products available so that a consumer, if they're doing a Google search, for instance, that they're seeing your products come up 3 or 4 times above the fold, not just one time on a paid search or even an SEO result. And then again, macroeconomic recovery, which we're starting to see in the US and Europe. It's very slight recovery, obviously, but that's really starting to have an effect from what we're tracking on potential sellers coming into, certainly coming into India over the upcoming months and years as the Indian government considers FDI and releasing a little bit of relaxation there, allowing some of these retailers to come in and start selling their products into India across multiple categories, across multiple brands. Something to consider as well as far as being a first mover advantage here domestically in India. But again, because of the change in the macroeconomics of what we're seeing in Europe and the US, a lot of our retailers now are coming to us saying, hey, how can I start selling into India? How can I start selling into China and Asia Pacific? And taking their large brands and coming into this market. So it's a potential threat. But conversely, for everyone here in the room, again, the shiny light, the positive aspect is that you can take advantage of cross-border trade out of India straight away. And kind of the last one is the growth of mobile, really complementing how folks are shopping online. So the statistics are all out there, and it's pretty astounding about how having a website that's mobile enabled can really increase conversion. I mean, the numbers are really staggering of companies that have gone from just a very static site into a mobile site. So considerations around that, the penetration of smartphone usage across Asia Pacific is certainly the largest in the world. Obviously places like Korea, specifically here in India. Australia has 3 examples of where eCommerce is really starting to outpace and will continue to start outpacing typical sales, even across simple tablets and laptop and computers. So channel exposure. So this is one of my favorite slides. This really talks about, and this is globally. So these are numbers. As a company, we're very lucky. We help many retailers globally across many different online channels. We're able to grab a lot of data and really crunch that. So we've been able to combine data with both Comscore, Forrester, and others, and looking at where sales are actually happening, where these channels, online channels over time, have really started to mature and expand. So if we look at this, we're looking at, if you rewind all the way back to 2002, 2001, a majority of all sales were actually happening on direct URL heads. So somebody going to Dell.com, for instance, to convert. People going to Apple.com as an example. But over time, we've seen a convergence of different online channels mature. So one of which is certainly search. So Google's, I can't say global, but certainly large domination of paid search globally. Really outside of China, having a continued emergence year on year, and again being a big contributor to the way people are shopping. Looking at things like eBay's growth, and again, eBay's done well over the last couple of years to continue growth. Powerhouses like Amazon, which are having ridiculous amounts of year-on-year growth, mainly driven by their third-party sellers market. So third-party sellers, which is now, I believe, accounted for over 40% of all sales on Amazon globally. Comparison shopping engines, that's the orange one. That continues to be, we actually support, I think, now over 170 comparison shopping engines globally. And for us, that's been a very interesting model of sales that have occurred over the years. So it hasn't necessarily grown exponentially, but the likes of Google Shopping, for instance, launching in areas like Australia, the UK, and the US has made a huge impact on comparison shopping. So again, being able to have product listing ads that are sitting alongside your paid search campaigns has been really impactful. And then cross-border trade, really just, we've been able to track this over the last 4 or 5 years, but the emergence of cross-border trade being huge. Social, being able to track how social will continue and does impact purchasing decisions. What we've been able to track alongside Forrester and Comscore as well is influencers. So not just going to the last click, what money did I spend along the way to get this sell, but being able to look at the assists that have happened along the way. So somebody may start out with a Google search, they may then go to eBay, Flipkart, look around, shop around for pricing, but then finally convert directly on your website after having looked at your Facebook offerings. So being able to track all of that and bring it back in one place and say, actually, these are assisting channels that are helping in your sales growth. And then mobile, local, obviously growing hugely over certainly year on year. And then others. So others would be the likes of, could be considered Pinterest, I guess, from a social perspective, but the emergence of certainly Pinterest and other new offerings and ways in which people can see your products, get a really rich experience on the products that you're selling, and come back and convert. So again, this is our stats we're tracking. So 2014 and 2017, looking at the whole world globally, e-commerce over the next 5 years, where we think it's going to grow. My gut feeling tells me that we may be a little conservative here. So when we're looking at certainly the different lines, the U.S. will continue to grow. It's not going to grow at staggering paces where it has in the past. It's a much more mature market, but it is expected to grow from 8 to 12% conservatively over the next 5 years. We have certainly European Union, again, coming out of global financial crisis, really starting to pick things back up again. APAC, which obviously does include India in there as well, largely driven by China, but also going to be largely driven by India, we expect as well, because there's some very mature markets that are not growing as quickly, which is Korea and Japan, which are still growing at single-digit numbers, but again, we will continue to see China and India grow at exponential numbers. And then the rest of the world, being the likes of countries in Africa, for instance, which are certainly, South Africa, which is really having a huge growth, and then Latin America, places like Brazil, which is having exponential growth as well. I'm kind of running out of time here, so I'll go through this quickly. But again, e-commerce, the way in which we see it is e-commerce is really starting to follow the old traditional spice routes. And this is interesting of how certainly the world's largest majority of manufacturing, if you assume manufacturing today is the spices that were provided from these regions in the past, really see the convergence of the spice routes come back into play and how not only India but China and really Southern Asia is providing a lot of these manufacturing routes of products to the rest of the world, and how that really relates back to cross-border trade and sellers being able to come back into India and sell their products as well. So again, the traditional spice routes and manufacturing exporting is really going to continue to change over the next couple of years. And again, there's been huge penetration in places like China as far as really now their overall e-commerce compared to all sales, retail sales, is roughly about 9%. And then certainly, compared to even a very mature market, which is only 10 to 11% in the US. So looking at China very quickly, obviously everybody knows about Alibaba. Certainly Tmall had a huge market share. But some of these other players that are starting to come in and really gain market share and have success there. So the likes of 360 Buy, who recently renamed themselves JD. So there's a huge battle there. And again, going back to the opportunity of cross-border trade, it's really looking at, is this going to be a similar thing that happens specifically with marketplaces here in India? I think we're kind of starting to see that happen. Again, with Flipkart, Amazon going head-to-head, Snapdeal spending a ton of marketing dollars and money to really gain customer share as well. So everybody's battling for this. So as they continue to battle for it, we're going to have to see retailers battle on pricing as well. So what I would recommend is be out across as many marketplaces in India as possible. Don't just be on Amazon, don't just be on Flipkart, be on all of them, or as many of them as you can. And then start to expand out into other online channels, which are easy to open up. So if you have an eBay India account, let's now open up a UK account, a China account, and others. So I'm going to skip over this because I'm going a bit beyond time, and certainly cross-border routes of what we've been tracking as well. So these are the amount of shopping dollars that we've seen from location to the actual destination. And these slides will be available after today as well. If you want to drop by our booth, we have USB sticks with these on, if you wanted to take these home with you. But it's really interesting to look at, as an example, even China to Japan, China to the UK, China to Australia. And we would like to see that, again, to encourage everybody in the room to have, let's start having some similar stats. Let's start seeing some sales of real B2C selling from domestically here in places like Japan into China, certainly Hong Kong and other places where there's a huge lack of a lot of variety of supply and depth of inventory, where you as retailers can come in and help fill that gap and take advantage of higher average selling prices and opportunities. Again, we continue to see the rise of marketplaces. I know I'm talking a lot about marketplaces, but we're seeing the rise of marketplaces in Russia with Yandex as an example. That's another big opportunity. The recent launch of Tesco in the UK in their marketplace, and they're wanting to expand that marketplace globally now, potentially. Places like Rakuten, the emergence of Walmart, for instance, in the US, where they now have their own marketplace and third-party sellers that can actually come on and sell products. Things to consider, millions of customers that you can potentially get in front of fairly easily. So again, cross-border routes, as we're seeing them emerge, the biggest ones being the bigger lines. So don't really have time today to go through this case study necessarily, but I really wanted to highlight an example. So Crocs, who obviously is a US retailer who was going globally, was struggling certainly over the last number of years of having a lot of channel conflicts. There was a lot of resellers selling the products on multiple websites, and I believe it was over 60 countries that they were selling into at the time. So they came to us and said, hey, how can we solve this issue? We're happy to have these resellers, but we want to control the brand online. We want to control and take advantage of B2C, where people come to our .com website and maybe they're in Saudi Arabia, maybe they're in Russia, and they want to buy our products directly. We want to be able to do that with avoiding channel conflict. So what we were able to do over time is help them into really a lot of incremental revenue and cause some real cost efficiencies within their internal management system, and get them onto multiple places like comparison truck engines, marketplaces, again, where they were directly able to control the traffic that was coming back to their website. So as an example, we can see here Crocs on shopping.com in the US, their Amazon listing that's here in the US, and then their eBay listing in Australia as an example. So having one place where they can do that from and control their global sales. So now this is their website today, where they've been able to develop, no matter where you're at in the world, you can click on the website and be able to go whatever channel they're selling into. So they may not have a website in Russia, as an example, but they're on the Yandex marketplace, so they're able to sell the products there. So you're able to click and go directly to those products. So it's really a great case study on how retailers like yourself can take advantage of the similar model. So the last thing I'd like to close with, and I'm really looking forward to learning over the next couple of days from all of you, from the networking experience, but also from a lot of the other vendors and speakers, to learn more about what you feel the biggest opportunity here is in India, and really get your feedback as well as where you feel cross-border trade could be and should be an opportunity for you as a manufacturer or retailer. And I'd like to encourage all of you to take advantage of the ways of commerce and to consider this, that when you're stuck in the open sea of sales and retail space that is, it's not easy. You have a lot of waves crashing into you, you're being tossed and turned in a lot of different directions. It's easy to get confused and certainly not know which direction to go. But we recommend that with the changes that are happening all the time, as consistently as changes are happening within the online space, embrace it, ride the wave. Don't fight the wave, ride the waves of change within e-commerce. And you will be successful, you'll be more agile to compete against your competitors, and again, from a global perspective, you will have so many opportunities opened up to you. So with that, I'd like to thank certainly eTail in India for inviting myself to speak today, Ashish and your team with a great certainly event, and thank you very much.